Well, are you ready for this? This is it. This is Things episode 6. And to me, this episode is now uh, raised the level, um, as in I find the best episode I've seen so far from season 1. So I'm going to talk about and do a little review here for that particular episode, episode 6, called The Monster. And I am Hawkeye, and this is Hawkeye's House of Horrors, and I hope you've been watching along my reviews of the first season of Stranger Things, and I hope to continue on doing so throughout the entire show. So if you do like this video, I'd appreciate it if you hit like, and I'd really appreciate it too if you would subscribe. And I have other videos on here as well. And if you want to comment on anything, you can do so as well. It's great to hear what you think as well. So here we go. The Monster. This one was written by Jessie Nixon Lopez. She was a staff writer, I think for seasons 1 and 2, I believe. Definitely for season 1. And this one was directed by the Duffer Brothers again. So, before the credits roll, Jonathan is continuing to look for Nancy, but she's in the upside down. She cannot see him, but oh dear, she can see the monster. Yikes. Jonathan does end up seeing a gateway to the upside down, and he calls out to her. Soon out comes a hand towards him. Jonathan grabs her and works her, pulls her out of the upside down, saving her, bring her back into this reality here, and then the gateway closes after she comes out. So that's a pretty darn good opening. That also finishes the cliffhanger from episode 5, and then the credits roll. So, getting into the stories here concerned, multiple stories going on here. First, we got Steve. He's actually showing here something very human. He's concerned about Nancy. He really is, and you get it. Problem is, he's hanging out with a couple of douchebag friends he has, Tommy H. and Carol. Boy, they're still hanging around. They're in the back seat of his BMW here. He's driving around, and they give their 2 cents. Not that you really should pay up for that or want to listen to what they think. So he goes to Nancy's house and sees Jonathan consoling Nancy through a window. And of course, Steve is adding two and two together, and he's getting like 4.5 or 5. Not the right answer, but things are clicking in his head, and things don't look like they're going to be good here for Nancy or Jonathan. And Jonathan ends up staying the night at Nancy's, of course, without her mother and father knowing, of course. I really like this though because they are truly terrified due to what they experienced, um, or certainly Nancy going to the upside down, and Jonathan helping her, bringing her back out of the upside down into back into their reality. So they're truly terrified. I really like that. They weren't just tough and gruff and oh well, whatever, let's fall asleep. They were terrified. Nancy couldn't sleep. Um, but in saying that, it's then funny how by season 5, Nancy's kicking ass and taking names. We're gonna have to go through her character along the way and maybe seeing if that really adds up or not. Yeah, there's a gigantic change in her. But anyways, I liked it. It was very realistic to me how terrified these two people were. They also come to realize that both Barb and Will are trapped in the upside down. Nancy may too been there if Jonathan really didn't save her. Help her way out, yell to her, uh, yell to where this gateway was so she could come back out and assist her. Now, Nancy also thinks that the monster can smell blood. looking in a book about sharks. Um, an idea here I totally agree with. And at this point, I now feel like Richard Dreyfuss in Jaws. Jonathan and Nancy go all Dawn of the Dead, or yeah, maybe if you're a big fan of that, maybe in Phantasm 2, they go to a gun shop and get all the tools and weapons they need. The big difference is there's actually somebody working there, so they pay for it or give the money to a person. Um, so there you go. There's also a new movie in town, Down at the Hawk, here in Hawkins, starring Nancy the Slut Wheeler. Oh dear. This, though, leads to a great scene where Nancy finds Steve hanging with, oh boy, here we go again, Tommy H., Carol, and Nicole. She was the girl that ran across Jonathan taking those creepy photos. Okay, she's not really all that great of a person either, but so all four of them are hanging in like an alleyway here. She comes across them. But now here we see Steve is not a nice guy now. Um, yet, um, because Steve lasts all these 5 seasons, I've seen him. Spoiler for anybody who's only seen up to this point. Um, I'm gonna say he's a major league dink in this scene due to his friends. Ideas they're putting in his head or pushing along. Definitely with Nancy the whole way, and definitely with Jonathan. That they've been giving him these ideas, and Nancy's not cool enough, and definitely Jonathan's creepy. He's definitely not cool enough to be with us. So that's why Steve in this scene, in my mind, is a dink here completely. So Jonathan suggests that they leave and grabbing Nancy, gently, hey, let's go, let's leave, let's forget about Steve and these guys. But Steve then verbally attacks Jonathan, who I admit takes a lot of trash here. When Steve goes into his family, how messed up they are. Uh-oh, Jonathan turns around and lands a beauty. Cold cocks Steve, and a fight ensues. In the end, Jonathan kicks Steve's ass. Oh boy. But the police show up, that being Powell and Callahan, and slap the cuffs on Jonathan. The other four run away. Nancy is there with Jonathan, so she goes along. Steve, sorry man, you should just keep doing your hair, man. Yeah, that wasn't a good idea. Now, I liked this story with Jonathan and Nancy and Steve. Um, this is a great scene. I really liked it. And they also started the episode off, and you can see Jonathan and Nancy are getting closer. I really am liking this story between them and Steve, the older kids. Now, Joyce and Hopper talk about the lab, what Hopper saw, and this bedroom that he was in. Talks about the drawing that was on the wall of 11 and Dr. Brenner. He doesn't know who 11 is, neither does Joyce. Neither of them have met her by this point. Um, and Joyce brings out a drawing that Will had done. Very artistic, very, very artistic kid. I couldn't draw like that when I was his age. Proving that it was not her son's bedroom to Hopper. They then track down Terry Ives, played here by Amy Mullins, as they think her daughter may be the kid that was in this lab. So, very good work done here by Hopper, who is the cop. Sorry, I forget if Joyce had her 2 cents in the idea or not, or if it was more Hopper. He's the cop. It makes sense. Anyways, they find out she was part of the MK Ultra experiments, and she had taken LSD and was even pregnant at the time. Now, to me, and if anybody out there knows who this is extremely David Cronenberg, which I like because I really like me some David Cronenberg. He was a great director, had some great flicks. Um, But this to me is very much perhaps like Scanners. Um, that thing that then her giving her child named Jane these powers. Um, she's able to move stuff around, due to all of this. Now, Agent Connie Frazier shows up at Mr. Clark's house and gives him this bullshit idea of this club that's looking for these bright kids. So, Mr. Clark, now this is done off screen, which I like because we cannot always be force fed what happens in shows or movies. I like that it's just left for you to conclude what happens. So Mr. Clark then must give the names of Mike, Lucas, Dustin to her, which leads to the surveillance at the end of the program, but it's happening of these kids to hopefully come across 11. So finally, uh, the younger kid's story. Ella's no longer in Mike's basement and she's taken off. Dustin, though, helps out by suggesting that they were all wrong, excluding him, of course, which is correct. And they should find Lucas. Just shake his hand, Mike. And then we'll all find Elle, and then we can then go find Will. Okay, just we'll all come back together and find Will. Lucas, though, he is fighting the idea that Elle is one of them. He's really fighting it. Dustin, in turn, and I completely 100% agree with him. He thinks her powers are pretty awesome. I would too. I'd be like, this is awesome. I'd just be doing, hey, do this. Hey, do that. Hey, do this. Hey, do that. Um, Anyways, in the end, Mike and Dustin look for Elle while Lucas goes to check out the lab, takes his bike and binoculars, goes to check out the lab. So while the two boys are looking for Elle, that's Mike and Dustin, wouldn't you know, they come across those two asshole bullies. Once again, Troy, who, if I failed to mention in the other video, looks a lot like if Elliot from E.T. was a bully. Like, he looks considerably a lot like Elliot from E.T. to me. And James, his buddy. So those two are back. Now the stakes are higher, and I'm gonna try and get into this a little bit. Not that it ruins it, but a little problem I have with this, just from my standpoint. Um, so now the stakes are higher. Troy did end up pissing himself. Um, so um, so then when these two bullies come across, Mike and Dustin, they are pretty much like Stephen King bullies. They weren't before, they are now though. Um, Troy is brandishing a knife. He's ready to use it. Um, but anyways, they're Stephen King bullies. But for me, it's a little bit too much of a jump. I know he pissed himself. Okay, but I still too much of a jump. What I needed out of these villains to create a better bridge in my mind for them now becoming bigger and badder villains would be to see them and maybe it happened and okay, Hawkeye, go over there again. It's there. Okay, I'm sorry. But did they pick on anybody else or was it just this group of kids? I don't remember them bullying anyone else. Um, as well as perhaps a scene where they were ready to use a weapon, maybe. Um, Even a conversation or something where that connection could be made quite easily. You only need it once. You don't need it more than that, because then you're going too much. I just need it once, but I don't know. I just needed a little bit more to make these guys those terrible Stephen King like bullies, from The Body um, or It, like guys like that. And those are influences to this. But to make that connection, with that. So because there isn't that great connection, he's got a knife to Dustin's throat. So what has to happen is Mike has to jump off this ledge, which these kids should know, okay, you're gonna kill yourself, or I'm gonna kill Dustin. So somebody's gonna die here. Do I believe that Troy is willing to kill Dustin? I don't really, because there isn't that connection needed for me. Um, where I'm willing to say, yeah, he is going to slit his throat because the whole time I know it's not going to happen. I also know there's a missing character in this scene here I haven't mentioned yet. But those are that's the problem I have with it. Now, please don't think I don't think this is a good scene because I actually think it's a great scene. It has great buildup, great tension, and a great conclusion. It's just I needed a better build up to the villains, you could say, for this to be working perhaps on all cylinders for me. Now, the missing character, well, of course, it's Elle. She shows up and suspends Mike in the air, um, and he's yelling and screaming. And the effects are, I don't know, not fantastic, but they work better than some brutal effects. I'll say that. Maybe I have to see it again, but the effects were okay. But anyways, she brings him back up to the ground, sets him down, and she walks out with her head down like this. That very, I'm gonna say it like Stanley Kubrick like look. Um, that was in all of his movies. But anyways, she throws James back ooh, with aggression and snaps Troy's arm hardcore. I like that. Don't mess around with this girl. You're going to be in trouble. I really like that. It wasn't like, hey guys, leave or else, and then they run away. There was aggression put out on these guys, and I really like that. And then Dustin yells a funny line I thought was pretty funny that go mess with her friend. She's crazy, something like that. I thought that was pretty funny. And maybe is Elle is crazy too. I don't know, but I wouldn't be messing around with her. Now as well, I really like the scene of Elle going to the grocery store to get Eggos. That was a great scene. Within this too, she has a flashback of her doing another water tank experiment. So it's light and seriousness, it mixes quite well together. I gotta say, when she does it, we do this lovely zoom out. Wasn't expecting, works very effectively. I really like that. But when she's getting the Egos, the manager witnesses her grabbing an arm load, sorry, of Egos out of the freezer, and he chases her down. But the door crashes, the automatic door, and glass shatters everywhere, and she's just walking in the foreground. What good shot there! I thought that was pretty funny. And I actually wanted to eat some Egos after I saw this. I didn't, but I do have some in the freezer. Um, Maybe tonight. I'm gonna watch the next one. Maybe tonight I should do it with some Eggos. Yes, I do like some Eggos. I haven't had an Eggo in a long time. So there you go. Yeah. And then there's another flashback here too. This it's very important right now. Anyways, we're gonna see what happens later in the show. But she sees a Demogorgon in the black room. I'm gonna call it the black room. I hope you know what I mean. And then she opens this gateway to the upside down by seeing that the Demogorgon. So there you go. And one final thing, I'm confused here by who Mike's best friend is. Mike says they're all his best friends, really. Dustin doesn't buy it. He said he came in grade four. Come on, you haven't known me that long. Dustin says it's Lucas. Um, and he's getting messed up due to Will being gone and Mike paying attention to L. Wait a sec. I thought Will was Mike's best friend. So I'm confused, or did they rewrite that later in perhaps the next season? I'm gonna find out because um I kind of get that here. Like Mike's not like, hey, he's the leader, but he's kind of I don't know, whatever. Ugh, I don't know, it just confuses me. So we'll get to that maybe later. See how that changes. So yeah. And then right before this episode ends, we're left with a nice cliffhanger here too, as Dr. Brenner and his minions jump in their vehicles as they know now, or as they now know, excuse me, where Elle is. And she is with Mike and Dustin, going back to Mike's house, I think. So there you go. This is the best episode to date. That was good. That was great, I would say. And I'm looking forward to seeing the next episode. I'm From what I get, the next two were actually even better. So if they're not, it's okay. But I hope it's still at that great level. So there you go. But that's episode 6. Two more to go, and I hope you're enjoying this. And have yourself an excellent day.